Hello students, today I have come with the topic service marketing. This is a subject under 3rd semester MBA VTU syllabus. So the famous book of service marketing is by Valerie Z. Tamil and all these authors Mary Jo and Ajay Pandit. It's a very good book on service marketing. So first I will go through a picturization of all the topics that I will be covering in module 1 in a series of videos. So first will be the definition of service marketing, then what are the characteristics of services we will be covering, then what is service marketing triangle, then we will look into consumer behavior, how consumers search for services, how they experience services, and what is their credence behavior. That means how they consider the services to be credible. Then we will look into the zone of tolerance. That is how each customer has a level or a limit of tolerance towards bad services. Then we will look into consumer perceptions of services, that is what is their viewpoint or what they think about services. Then cervical attributes. Cervical attributes, cervical is a word which has been formed by joining two words, service and quality. So what should be the service quality attributes for a service to be of good quality? That is what the topic is all about. Then service encounters, that is when the customer comes in contact with a service. So what are the steps he goes through, or what is the procedure, or what is the process that the customer goes through, so when he encounters a service. And the last topic is what are the strategies to change consumer perception of services. That means to change consumer thinking of services. What are the strategies? So also this module 1 includes the 7 P's of service marketing. We have read about the 4 P's of marketing. So in service marketing there are 3 more P's which is added up, that is people, process and physical evidence. So we have 7 P's. So we will be looking into the 7 P's also. So these are all the topics in module 1 which I will be covering in a series of videos. So next we will talk about the service sector. So now the service sector in India is a very one of the largest and fastest growing sector, where you see the contribution of service sector to the GDP. It is 47.7%. That means almost 48%. So you can see that the service sector is growing rapidly in our country, and it is generating large scale employment. Foreign money is flowing into the service sector. Foreign investment flows have greatly increased and more exports. So this service sector is a booming sector, you can say, in our country. So compared to the other sectors, you compare it to the other sectors, what is their contribution? You can see that the service sector contribution is really huge. So industry contributes only 26%. Agriculture and allied sectors, that is related sectors, is contributing only 20%. So you can see that India's service sector is on the growth path, and it is growing at a very fast pace in our country. So it includes all these services, that is hotels and restaurant service is known as hospitality services, trade service, transportation service, communication service, financial service. So many social and personal services are provided today. So all this comes under the service sector. So it is the largest and fastest growing sector in our country. Now let's compare the GDP contribution of service sector to other countries' GDPs. So in Hong Kong, if you see, the contribution of service sector in Hong Kong is 89.6%. That's quite high, and because it is the most developed sector in East Asia. Netherlands, Japan is almost the same, 69.5%. USA, it is 80%. Most of the jobs, that is 80% of the jobs, are in the service sector. France is 70%, and China is only 53%. So China being the highest populated highest populated country, you can see that its contribution of their service sector to their GDP is quite low. It's only 53%. So examples of service sector. So these are all the examples of service sector: healthcare services, professional services, financial services, hospitality services, and the travel services, and entertainment services, and all the personal services that is provided, like hairstyling, or home cleaning, or lawn maintenance. All these are the personal services which is really on the upgrowth nowadays. So maintenance services, health club services, all these are the services which is picking up in our country right now. So these are all the examples of services which I just wanted you to go through. So now these are all, I have already covered all these topics. You will be learning about the service marketing concepts and practices. You will be seeing the difference between goods and services. What are the challenges that service companies face? So all these things you will be seeing in this in a series of videos, not in this video. In a series of videos, I will be covering all these topics. So what is service basically? It is an activity or a benefit which is given by one party to another party, which is mainly intangible, and it does not result in the ownership of that service. So that service production may or may not be tied to a physical product. So this is the definition given by Kotler, Armstrong, Saunders, and Wong. So what is service? Service is some activities or benefits or satisfaction which is given from one company to their customers, and it may be tied up with a physical product, like for example restaurant service. So they are giving you the satisfaction of eating a good meal at their restaurant, and the physical products there is the food items which you eat in that particular restaurant. So this is about the definition of services. So services are basically deeds, processes, and performance. Deed is when a doctor does treatment for you, then that service will be called as a deed. In a restaurant, you place an order and the food is prepared and brought to your table. That is a process. So in a theater or in a movie hall, you watch a movie. So that is a service, which is a performance. And like a performance, the service is a performance which is done for you. So all service is basically intangible. Intangible means something which you cannot touch, feel, you can only experience. So they may be a tangible component. So like for a restaurant, the tangible component will be the food, will be the furniture over there, will be all the cutlery, whatever plates and spoons and cups that you will be using over there. So that is all the tangible component. So usually if you see, services are produced and consumed at the same time. So when you go to a hotel or a restaurant, you place an order, then the food is prepared in the kitchen and it is brought to your table, and you consume it then and there. So that's a service which is produced and consumed at the same time. So most of the services are produced and consumed at the same time. So when you go to meet a doctor, you tell about your problems, the doctor will immediately prescribe a treatment for you. So that is a service which is produced and consumed at the same time. So now we will see what is the difference between service and customer service. Now the service industries and companies, there are some service industries and companies like the hospitality industry like Taj Hotels, or transportation airlines like Air India, or insurance companies. Their core product is a service. Their main product is a service. So Taj Hotels, Air India, all of them are providing a service for you. So there are some companies, service companies, technology companies, which is manufacturing products as a service. So like IT companies, they are manufacturing software products, consulting services they are providing. So for them, service is a product. They are manufacturing these services as a product. So you have pet grooming services, you have training services, pet training services provided by these pet stores. So these are the services which is provided as products to the pet parents. So customer service. Customer service is given along with a company's core product. So for example, you are going to the showroom to purchase a consumer durable product. So there will be a salesperson who will explain about the features of the product. Suppose you are planning to buy a PC, he will explain all about the features of the product and all. So that is customer service. So the sales, somebody from the sales team will come and install that PC in your home and explain all the maintenance and working of the PC. So that is also customer service. So all this comes under customer relationship management. Nowadays, companies want to retain their customers. They want to keep their customers satisfied. So they follow a concept known as customer relationship management. They want to build up a relationship with their customers. They want to continue to service the same customers. So we have CRM today. Nowadays we have eCRM, that is electronic CRM, that is online. Also customer relationship management is carried out by various companies today. So what is derived service? Derived service is a service which is derived from the physical goods. So for example, a pharmaceutical company, a pharmaceutical shop which is selling medicines, they will also have a clinic attached where a doctor will be providing medical services to the customers who are coming to buy medicines. They can also visit the doctor, take the prescription from him, and then purchase the medicine from the medical store. So this is an example of derived service. So what are the challenges which the service companies face today? So since service is intangible, it is something which can be only experienced. It cannot be touched or it cannot be seen. So it is non-standardized service. Like for a doctor, he is treating so many patients. All the patients he will not treat in the same way. It will be according to each person's requirement, he will be treating the patient. So for example, you go to a salon. A salon, there they will not treat each customer in the same way. Each customer will want to be serviced in a different way. So non-standardized services. Services are non-standardized and intangible. So since this is the characteristic of services, that they are intangible and they are non-standardized, it is very difficult to maintain their quality and to improve the quality of the services. Then services, since they are intangible, how do you communicate about new services. How do you test new services? That is also a challenge. They may promise a lot of things in the advertisement. Suppose a new restaurant is coming up or a new hospital is coming up, they will promise a lot of things in their advertisement. So how do you test this new service? You have to go there, you have to experience having a meal in the restaurant. Then only you can see whether the service is good or not. You have to go to the hospital, you have to take treatment under the doctor. Then only you will come to know whether the doctor is the particular hospital is good or not. So testing and communicating about new services is a challenge for the service companies. So because of the 7 P's, like I told you, under service marketing, we have 7 P's. So because of the 7 P's, to maintain a consistent brand image of the service and to communicate about their brand image is a challenge for service companies. So you will understand this point more when we will go through the 7 P's. So the most critical P among the 7 P's is the people, that is the employees who are delivering the service. So keeping your employees motivated, making sure that they are committed and they deliver the same service, same quality service all the time is a challenge for service companies. So sometimes you may see that when you go to hospitals and all, the doctors and nurses may not be very good with the patients. They may not treat you well, especially in government hospitals and all. So this is a critical P. So you will always have a very low perception about the government hospitals because you feel the employees there do not do a good job of delivering the service. But when you compare it to a private hospital, you will find that the employees there are very committed, very motivated, and they deliver the service in a very effective manner. So these are the challenges, some of the challenges that service companies face. So in a service organization, coordinating their marketing and their operations and their employees' efforts, coordinating all this is a big challenge. So for service organizations, suppose the hospital faces a lot of patients at the same time, like during the COVID period, the hospitals were full of people, they were full of patients. So that time it would have been very difficult to maintain efficiency in the services. So same way in a restaurant, if it gets filled up with customers, then it becomes very difficult to manage their operations, manage the efforts of their employees to make sure that all the customers are satisfied. So since services are intangible and since they are very they are difficult to determine the price of services. So the actual production cost, since they are intangible, how to determine the cost of the services is a very big challenge for the service companies. So how to balance standardization versus personalization? That is for a doctor service or for a restaurant service or for a salon service. How do you, usually they provide standardized service, but a doctor has to also provide personalized service to each patient according to their requirements. So balancing the both is a very big challenge for the service marketing company. So only if they are able to balance both standardization and personalization, efficiency of their operations will increase and the customers will be satisfied. So like I told you, when there is a strain on their operations, like restaurant is filled with customers or the salon is suddenly filled with lot of customers wanting to be serviced at the same time, or the hospitals are full of patients, then how the service company takes good strategic decisions to manage their operations in an effective and efficient manner is a very big challenge for the service marketing companies. Now we will see what is the difference between services and goods. So you know goods are tangible, that is they are physical products which can be touched, which can be seen and which can be felt, whereas services cannot be touched and seen, they can be only experienced. They are intangible. So what is the implication for this? Services cannot be inventoried. That means you cannot store services. So you cannot display services also, and you cannot patent services. So airline tickets you cannot store them. So restaurant food also you can only store certain portion of the prepared food for a day or two before it is cooked and served to customers. You cannot store it for a long period of time. So the second difference is standardized. Goods are standardized, they are produced in the factories and they are produced in a standardized manner, whereas services are heterogeneous. That means the doctor does not treat all his patients in the same manner. Each patient is serviced according to the need of the patient. So there is heterogeneity in services. So maintaining service quality is very difficult. There are a lot of uncontrollable factors which you have to make sure that the service quality can be maintained, which is a very big challenge for the service companies, because the cook in the restaurant, you cannot ensure that every day he will prepare the same quality of food. Some days it may not be of the same quality. Service delivery and customer satisfaction depends upon the employee actions, because here I told you the critical P is the employees who are delivering the service. So how they deliver the service only will determine the satisfaction of customers. So that is another implication of heterogeneity of services. And the third implication is there is no guarantee service will be delivered as per promise, because you can promise a lot of things in your advertisement. You can but when you actually deliver the service, like maybe you saw a restaurant ad, this promised a lot of things, that we will prepare delicious food and we provide very fast service, but when you actually go and eat in that restaurant, you may find that this service is not at all up to what they had promised. So this is all because of this second characteristic. These are all the characteristics of services: intangibility, heterogeneity, simultaneous production and consumption, and perishability of services. So the third difference between services and products is production is separate from consumption in the case of physical goods, because they are produced in the factories, they pass through many intermediaries, and then it comes to the final customer. Whereas in the case of services, the production and consumption happens at the same time. Like I told you, in a restaurant, you go there, you order the food, and the food is prepared and it is brought to your table. So what is the implication? Customer has to participate in the transaction. Customer has to first place the order for the food, then only the food will be produced, and then only he will consume it. So decentralization is very much important in services. It cannot be centrally controlled. It all depends upon the employee actions, how they deliver the services. So that will determine the satisfaction of services. So decentralization is very much required in service companies. Then non-perishable. In the case of physical goods, they do not perish easily. Their shelf life is long. Physical goods can be kept for a long period of time in the shops, in the shelves, and they will not get spoiled. Whereas services, they are highly perishable. That is, today's airline tickets, if they are not sold today, or today's movie tickets, if they are not sold today, you cannot sell them again tomorrow. They perish. So they are perishable. Services are perishable. So services cannot be stored, it cannot be resold, or it cannot be retained. So these are all the differences between services and goods. So now this tangibility spectrum explains the goods which are more tangible, that means they are more dominant in tangibility, and which are the goods which are more intangible. This spectrum will explain to you. So salt, soft drinks, detergents, all these are more tangible. They are more tangible goods, whereas fast food outlets, you see, they have both intangible and tangible. They have some tangible elements also in them, and they have also some intangible elements in them. So advertising agencies, airlines, investment, consulting, all these teaching, these are all the more intangible services. So this is just a spectrum to explain how intangible these services are. So with this we come to the end of the first video on service marketing. I will be coming out with more videos to cover all the topics which I discussed in the first itself.